by the water here. He's been fishing again recently.
Well, actually, to be honest, I don't really know who Saberspark is. I haven't really watched any of his videos in years, and I don't even really know what the whole situation is about. So, yeah, you kind of just clicked on this video for nothing. Let's see here. Okay, that's where the legendary bear is right there. Oh, dang it. If you're wondering why I'm playing horribly, I'm recording this with my phone. Like, the joke of this video is that there is no effort. And I know the classic Joker saying, if you explain the joke, there is no joke, but I don't care. Plus, Joker's a psychopath.
Good. Let's hope it's him.
But God.
Can you tell which way he went?
But God, man, Red Dead Redemption 2 is such a beautiful looking game. Like, this game came out in 2018. Oh, shit. This game came out in 2018, and it still looks better than so many games nowadays. And look, it's not even a nostalgic thing. I didn't play Red Dead Redemption 2 until 2019. So okay, I guess it was like, what, 6 years ago instead of 7 years ago. But it's not really nostalgic. I've seen a lot of like, for example, Spider-Man on PS5, Spider-Man 2 on PS5, good looking game. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look as good as this one. And you could be saying, oh, well, Insomniac doesn't have the budget. Not the case. I don't think so. Because Spider-Man is one of the most, or actually is the most popular superhero IP right now. So Insomniac really had no excuse for when they made their NPCs look so lifeless at times. You'll know what I mean if you played the game. Don't get me wrong, though. It's still a good-looking game, but it still doesn't really match up to Red Dead Redemption 2, where just about every aspect of the game just looks amazing. My biggest problem with Red Dead Redemption 2 is how scripted the missions are, and the stealth isn't that good. But overall, it's a great game. In fact, hold on, let me pause so I can say this without being distracted. In fact, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 should have won Game of the Year 2020 or 2018. Back then, the competition was God of War, and God of War won. And look, God of War 2018 is a good game. But Red Dead Redemption 2 clearly had way more effort and heart put into it. I'm sorry, like, the music is better, the graphics are better, the story and writing is better. The combat, well, it's actually kind of repetitive. I mean, you're mostly going to be shooting people in this game. It's really hard to talk about the combat with death. I will give God of War that it does have better combat because there's different enemy variety. But then again, God of War is a totally different genre. So it's not really fair to compare that game's combat to Red Dead Redemption 2 if we're talking about mechanics and whatnot. But yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2, pretty much every enemy in this game that isn't an animal is just a guy that you can headshot and kill instantly. It's not that hard of a game, but neither is God of War, to be honest. And look, God of War 2018 has a nice story, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is just way, way better and way less predictable. I mean, no offense, but as much as I like God of War 2018, that game was clearly, just a Last of Us clone, but in a Norse setting. Like, mature adult man hangs out with a kid, with a polar opposite personality. It's already been done before. And I'm not saying it's a bad trope or anything like that, but we already saw this in other games. Like, even Yakuza 1 did this with Haruka. Yeah, man. Like, Red Dead Redemption 2, though, it just has so many cool story moments. I mean, God of War has cool story moments, too. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is just a better normie game. Like, in Red Dead Redemption 2, I actually felt the need to explore for no reason at all. I just felt like, well, actually, there was a reason. I just wanted to see the world. God of War, there wasn't really any drive to explore outside of looking for more resources, But also, the characters in Red Dead Redemption 2 are just way better than the ones in God of War 2018. Like, Atreus is fine. I kind of hate him, though. but he's fine as a an extroverted kid character. I prefer Ellie. Ellie in The Last of Us One is way better written than Atreus, and way less annoying. And plus, Atreus and God of War Ragnarok is just so disappointing. Like, he goes on and on about I'm Loki. I need to follow the prophecy. Blah blah blah. It's like shut up already.
We lost.
Plus, his gameplay segments in God of War Ragnarok suck.
A little optimism, Arthur.
Well, what do you think?
I think we split up and each look.
Another thing I like about Red Dead Redemption 2 is with regarding the game's story and writing, you can have Arthur Morgan be an evil psychopath, and the story will actually alter cutscenes based on that.
Either that or
Like the dialogue and whatnot will change, and Arthur Morgan's voice actor did a fantastic job too. Like one thing I really like about him is that, for one, I think he's not even American, but he sounds like the most American person I've ever heard in a video game. But Arthur Morgan is just awesome. Like I remember seeing Red Dead Redemption 2's trailer with Arthur Morgan as a new character, and I was like, man, there's no way this guy is gonna be cooler than John Marston. Like, nice try, Rockstar, but you can't outdo John Marston. John Marston was like a total badass, one of the best Rockstar characters. Then then I finally played RDR2, and I'm like, this man is Arthur Morgan is a million times cooler than John Marston, which is quite the accomplishment because John Marston was already a pretty badass person. My problem with John Marston though is that since Red Dead Redemption 1 and the ending to Red Dead Redemption 2, have John Marston trying to be a better person, it doesn't really make any narrative sense for John Marston to go around robbing and killing innocent people. However, it does make sense for Arthur Morgan to do that because he's trying to support his gang. Like Arthur Morgan, even with high honor, is still a genuine criminal. Like the guy kills people casually without any prejudice either. And if you make him evil, you can pretty much make him a total psychopath and it would still match with the story. Well, anyway, I appreciate that you spent time clicking on this filler video. I know it's clickbait. Well, before you go, let me break. Oh fuck! I accidentally unpaused the game.
Arthur?
Okay, before you go, let me recommend a book to you. Like, if you like comics or graphic novels, I'm not really sure the difference between the two. I think graphic novel just sounds more mature than comic. That's why people say it. But one book I recommend is Persepolis. I'm sorry to anyone if I mispronounce his name. It's a story. But this is a story based on a real life event about a young girl who grew up in Iran during the fundamentalist era. And it's a very interesting comic with very, very good art style. I'll show you it. Yeah, see, it looks, it's told in this story. And the girl, her name is Marjane Satrapi. She's still alive to this day, and she's a successful woman. But it tells her story growing up in Iran, and then we see her transition from a kid to a young adult by the end of the story. Very cool book. And I'm glad Marjane is doing all right, and I hope the people of Iran are better. And another book I recommend is Akira. Now, you might have heard of this. Akira is one of the most famous anime movies ever. Like, if you're a hardcore anime fan, you definitely need to check out Akira at some point. And because the Akira movie is good, I would recommend the original Japanese version, or the redub. There are two dubs of Akira. The first dub came out in, I think, the 80s or 90s, but, it's not that good. It sounds very cheesy and very off-putting. The redub is way better, more up-to-date, more faithful to the original translation. However, the movie is a pretty long anime movie, but the original source material was 6 books long. 6 books. Like, imagine trying to adapt all of this into a movie. It would be impossible without splitting that movie into parts. Multiple parts, by the way. But The movie still has a very good story, and the animation is spectacular. But I really recommend reading the manga if you want the full experience of the story, because there are some significant differences between the manga and the movie. It's still a really dang good movie, though. I love showing it to people who haven't seen it and surprising them by it, because they don't really expect it to be, all 80s and violent and whatnot. Let me just move my medication out of the way. Let's see. If you're an Invincible fan and you're watching this, chances are you're waiting for the show to hurry up and end. But I would just recommend getting the comic. The comic, there's 3 compendiums, which is basically a combination of multiple volumes put into one book. And there's 3 compendiums. The Invincible story is pretty much already finished. I want to say Invincible season 3 is about around this point at the comic. So there's still some ways to go. I do have I do joke about the Invincible animation being not so good. I'm still grateful that they adapted the show as faithfully as it did. Although I don't really understand some of the changes. So like they made Amber black, and that would have been fine, but they also altered her personality to make her less likable for some reason. Whatever. Another series I recommend is the Walking Dead comic. Now, fun fact: Invincible and the Walking Dead were both made by the same person, Robert Kirkman. And the Walking Dead comic has also ended. It's way different from the show, and by way different, I also mean way better written. The show, it just got sloppy and got boring. The comic, though, is way more interesting. Let's see. Yeah, everybody likes Berserk. Well, if you haven't read Berserk, you need to read Berserk. But yes, the author has passed away, unfortunately. But the story is still really great. At least, especially the Golden Age arc. Like, for the love of God, if you haven't read Berserk, at least read the Golden Age arc. Another book I recommend is No Longer Human, the Junji Ito version. Now, No Longer Human was actually based on a real autobiography of a person with some very serious mental problems. And Junji Ito, the original book is in public domain, so Junji Ito adapted the story in his own twisted, interpretation and version. But I really like this. In my opinion, even though it's not really an original Junji Ito story, this is still his best work, in my opinion. And I'm someone who liked Uzumaki. Okay, so one last thing I'll show off. One thing, Jesus, I don't even know why you're still here if you're watching this. Barefoot Gen. This is a story about a young child who survived the Hiroshima bombing, and I would strongly recommend this. There are 10 volumes. When I was younger, I tried looking for it to read online, but I couldn't find a website for it, so you're going to probably have to spend some money if you want to get the full story. There is the Barefoot Gen movie, and it's alright, but the story goes into more detail about this kid's life. In fact, the author of the book was also a survivor of the Hiroshima bombing, Keiji Nakazawa. And he always loved drawing, so he adapted the story of Barefoot Gen. And one thing I like about it is that it's not just, the Americans are bad. Trust me, the book criticizes, the actions that America did during World War II. Like, there's some really nasty stuff that they did, including, raping, like the rape of a Japanese woman, or, this book can get very dark despite the cartoony looking art style. And there are but there's also more to it too. Like there's an arc where, one of Gen's orphan friends gets involved with the Yakuza. And it's not like the romanticized version of the Yakuza like you see in the Yakuza games. These Yakuza are just straight up thugs and bullies. So I also like the Yakuza games. But yeah, man, Barefoot again. Really, you can the first volume actually you can kind of end it there if the author wanted to, but the rest of the volumes explore more again the stories and struggles on trying to survive in a poverty-stricken post-war Japan, and it's very sad, but it's also very raw. Don't let the cartoony art style fool you. Just because Barefoot Gen has a cartoon-looking art style doesn't mean like the themes itself are all immature. Like there's some genuinely very dark stuff here that happened in uh, that happens in that story. So yeah, Persepolis, Akira, the Invincible comics, The Walking Dead, and Barefoot Good. I recommend those. Oh, and definitely Berserk if you haven't seen it. And Junji Ito's No Longer Human.